What's going on, boys? If you're a busy working man, this is how to do a recomp. If you're not too sure what a recomp is, it's when you lose fat and build muscle, right? This picture on the left is me, being a busy man working on cars. I used to run a mobile car detailing business, but during that time frame, I was this guy right here in the middle. I was out of shape. I didn't have, all the energy in the world. I would always feel sluggish, just like you are. And, I didn't have confidence in myself. Whenever I would look in the mirror, I hated the way I looked, and I knew I had to make a change. So this is me now. I'm lean. I have a nice toned physique that everybody wants, and I'm not like this big bodybuilder that some of these guys, these pro athletes have. That's not really what I want. I kind of want that nice toned, athletic, you know, aesthetic physique that maybe you want, right? So if you want to lose weight and build muscle, this video is exactly for you. These are going to be the three topics that we will be covering, right? The first thing that we will be covering is nutrition, right? Did I spell that wrong? The first thing we'll be covering is nutrition. The second thing we'll be covering is how to train properly. And the third thing that we'll be covering is recovery, right? If you only have two of these things, dialed in, you're not going to get the best results, right? Maybe you are training hard at the gym. Maybe you don't need crazy motivation to go to the gym, but if your nutrition is not good and your recovery is not good, then there's no point. Or maybe you know exactly what to eat and you know exactly how to sleep. You get your 8 hours of sleep and your training is not good, you're not going to get the best results. So I'll make sure to cover all of these three topics to make sure that you make a transformation just like this, right? This video is for busy working men that, want that nice toned physique. If you're trying to be a big bodybuilder and, hop on stage, maybe this video is not for you. Maybe watch another video, right? First things first is the nutrition, right? You need a slight moderate deficit. If you cut your calories way too low, you'll just lose a lot of energy and strength, leading to muscle loss, right? Obviously, on our recomp phase, we want to maintain our muscle mass and even build during the way, right? As you can see on this first picture, it looks like I have the skinny fat physique, not really much muscle on me. But if you can't tell, I've actually been working out for 1 year straight already in this picture, and the only thing that I did was, cut my calories, right? I was training properly still, and I was able to build that physique on the right. Right. The reason why you don't want to cut your calories way too low is because once you cut your calories to maybe 1,000 calories, or you're only eating 1,200 calories, right? That's way too low, right? You're just gonna lose weight way too quick, and you're not gonna be able to have the energy to push yourself, push sorry guys, my English. You're not gonna be able to have the energy to push yourself during your training, and when you don't have your energy to push yourself, you're not gonna build any muscle, right? So instead, you cut your calories by 300 calories to about 500 calories. So you should be aiming to lose about 1 pound per week, right? Make sure you're tracking your progress every single week and just adjust your calories accordingly, right? And obviously, if you don't want to cut your calories, just eat within your maintenance phase, and that should do you perfectly fine, right? And honestly, if you have a physique just like this, or maybe you have a little bit more body fat, I highly recommend just cutting your calories, 300 calories, 500 calories, and you'll be fine from there, right? And if you're not too sure how to find your calorie maintenance, just go on this site. It's called a tdecalculator.net. Once you go on that site, it'll give you the options to put in your gender, right, age, weight, and height. Once you put all of that in, make sure to leave your activity level as sedentary. I know a lot of you guys may be like, I work out here and there, I go for runs here and there. I'm telling you, man, just leave it as sedentary. It's the most accurate way. You don't need to put your body fat. If you do know it, just put it in. But honestly, there's no point. You don't need to put that. Once you get that, you'll get your maintenance calories. You can start off by eating your maintenance calories just like this one, or like I said, subtract 300 calories from there. And once you subtract 300 calories, you're losing the weight, and you see that your weight is staying the same, and you want to drop more weight. The only thing is you can't keep eating the same amount of calories. What you have to do is just drop by another 200 or drop by another 300 to make sure that you're steadily, is that even a word? Make sure that you're actually losing weight per week, right? 1 pound per week. Perfectly fine. Have your macros like this, right? A lot of people, they just only think about calories, 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 right? If you're not having your protein intake, you're not gonna actually build and maintain your muscle mass. If you're not eating your fats and you're only eating protein, you're not gonna be able to functionally you're not going to be able to functionally, what the frick, my English, man. You're not going to properly function as a human being, right? You'll have these mood swings, you'll have headaches, your skin might probably start breaking out just like how mine used to break out. But once I started including fats, my skin cleared up, I'm actually feeling energized. And as far as your carbs, a lot of people tend to say, "Oh, I'm gonna just cut off my rice. I'm gonna just stop eating potatoes or stop eating carbs so I can lose weight." Right? That's the worst thing that you can do, because carbs are actually used as energy and as a fuel source during your workouts. Right? So a little tip for you guys: before your workout, have about 35 grams or 40 grams of carbs right before your lift, so that you can have a nice lift, and you can have a nice little pump. Right? And what you want is fast digesting carbs. So you don't want to eat like oats and stuff like 30 minutes before your workout. What you want to eat 30 minutes before your workout is, some honey, right? Honey helps out a lot. I take like 2 tablespoons of honey right before my workout, and that helps out a lot. As far as measurements, eat about 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, right? So if you're 150 pounds or 180 pounds, eat 180 grams of protein. As far as your fats, eat zero point 0.3 to zero point 0.5 grams of fats per pound of body weight, right? What you want to do is go on this app called MyFitnessPal, and just adjust your calories accordingly. And as far as your carbs, just fill in the rest of your calories with your carbs, right? As far as training, right, this is the most important part. I love training. Whoa. All right, guys. Now, can you pause that, please? Guys, I just got a tsunami warning. That's my girlfriend. I just got a tsunami warning in Hawaii. I live in Hawaii. I live in like the middle of the island, but we're just gonna keep continuing with the video because I care about you guys. I just got a tsunami warning. What the hell? Okay, so as far as training, guys, you guys need to be training with intensity, right? Stop with this whole, oh, I need to do 4 sets of 12 reps to tone up my muscles, right? That's, it's a little good start when you're starting off, but that's honestly all BS, right? It doesn't matter if you're doing 3 reps or 50 reps. If you're not pushing with intensity, you're not going to grow, right? So each workouts that I usually like to do, because, I'm a busy working man myself, and you're a busy working man yourself. You don't want to be at the gym for 10,000 hours or 2 hours, right? You want to be in there 45 minutes, 1 hour, leave, right? Get out, right? So each workouts should be about 2 to 3 sets, right? Pushing near 6 to 9 reps, right? And if you go above 9 reps, then just do progressively overload. Your last rep should be at least two failure or near failure. And that basically just means like your last rep, it's either you had just one more in you or you couldn't do one more, right? If you couldn't do one more, boom, done. Perfectly fine. You did that set perfectly fine, right? If you had one more left in the tank, maybe you didn't have a spot. All right, whatever. You get a free pass, right? But if you had somebody spotting you during that time frame, and you had one more rep in you, and you knew you had one more rep in you, push yourself, right? Because you have a spot, right? And as if you guys don't know what progressively overloading is, it's just adding one more rep or one more set or adding more weight, right? Let's say, for example, last week I did 140 pounds for 8 reps, right? The following week I'll probably do 140 pounds for 9 reps, or maybe 145 pounds for 6 reps, right? And let's say your weight stays the same and your rep stays the same, just add one more set, right? Maybe 4 sets that workout, right? You can also do drop sets, meaning like once you're done with 40 pounds, or yeah, let's just say you're done with 40 pounds with dumbbell curls. Right after that, just do 35 pounds or 30 pounds, just to give yourself a little burnout and actually do a drop set, right? As far as your workout split, I made a video just before this one. So if you go on my page, I made a workout plan for a busy working man that wants to work out 5 days out of the week. But your workout split doesn't really matter, right? A lot of people tend to do full body workouts, upper lower, and push pull legs or chest and back on the same day. That honestly doesn't really matter as long as you're pushing with intensity. I like to do push pull legs. On my push days, I do chest, tricep, shoulders. On my pull days, I do back and biceps. And on my leg days, I just hit legs, hamstrings, quads, my calves, right? And I just do 6 days out of the week. And obviously, if you don't have 6 days out of the week, I have a 5 day workout plan on my account. I also have a 3 day workout plan on my YouTube channel, right? So just, check out my page. I would really appreciate a subscribe, maybe like, do a little comment. Bro, I'm making this video in the middle of a tsunami alert, right? So I care about you guys. Last but not least, do some recovery, right? Your recovery is like everyone sleeps on recovery, right? Was that funny, guys? Because you get it. You sleep and recovery. All right, let me just shut up. All right, it's one of the most important tools in fitness. You should be getting about 7 to 8 hours of sleep, right? If you're having trouble with sleep and recovery, just try this out, right? I used to have, I used to just stay up all night, and my recovery used to be so bad. So these are the 5 things that you can actually do to make sure that you can fall asleep, you know, on time, and you can actually and you can actually have a good sleep, right? You want to fall asleep at the same time and have a good sleep. As far as the time frame on when you should be sleeping, it doesn't matter if you sleep at 7 a.m., 10 p.m., or 12 a.m. As long as you're getting your 7 to 8 hours of sleep, and you go to sleep and you wake up at the same time, perfectly fine, right? Number one thing you should be doing is supplementing magnesium glycinate 30 minutes before bed. There's different types of, magnesiums. Magnesium glycinate is a little bit more expensive, but it tends to do the job way better. I bought mine from Amazon. You can go to, a regular place like Walmart, get your magnesium glycinate from there. I just take, my supplement right before bed, maybe 30 minutes before bed, and you're completely fine, right? Second thing you should be doing is getting blue light blocking glasses. Um, these right here are blue light blocking glasses. Let me just show you guys how it looks like. Boom, bang, right? So the thing is, in your room, maybe when you're looking at your phone late at night, there's artificial blue lights, right? Maybe it's the fluorescent lights at your house when you walk outside. Maybe it's the blue light from your phone, right? The blue light from your phone and everything else, it messes up your sleep by like 2 hours, right? That's why when you maybe go outside for a bit with your family, you eat dinner, you can't fall asleep, right? It's because the blue light is just messing up your circadian rhythm. So you just put on blue light blocking glasses maybe 1 hour before bed or 30 minutes before bed. You don't want to be putting it on like early in the morning. Just put it on when the sun goes down, about 6 p.m., 7 p.m., around that time frame, right? As far as the type of blue light blocking glasses, there's clear ones, there's orange ones, and there's the red lenses. The red lenses are really really strong, right? It helps you fall asleep way better. The orange ones are just kind of like in the medium range. It helps way better, right? For me, I like that one because the red ones are just way too strong, and it's only if I really really need to fall asleep. Just get the orange lenses, but there's also the clear lenses. I don't really recommend that. It doesn't help that much. I just recommend using the clear lenses if you're, working on a laptop every single day, day in, day out. Um, and you're looking at a screen just like this. Maybe put on some clear blue light blocking glasses. But, simply for your sleep, if you want to maximize your sleep, get the orange lenses or the red lenses, right? Third thing is making your room as cold as it can be, right? If you have AC, if you have fans, blast it, right? Have it as cold as it can be. It'll just, when you wake up and you're sweating and stuff, I'm sure you didn't have the best sleep in the world, right? You're probably like stressed out, you're pissed because you're sweating all night. So open up your windows. Maybe, I don't know, if you have AC, turn on your AC. If you have fans, multiple fans, just make sure your environment is as cold as it can be, right? Fourth thing is earning your sleep, bro, right? Well, why do you the only reason why you maybe can't fall asleep is simply because I'm not sure. Maybe you just stayed in your room all day. Maybe you went to work, came back home, went on your phone, right? But think about it like this, right? You finish work. Right after work, you maybe change up a little bit. You head to the gym, do a nice workout, come back home. How do you think you would feel? You'd probably feel tired. You'd probably feel like you earned your sleep, right? So do something like productive, like maybe going for a little walk with your dog, with your kids. Go outside, maybe, get that nice little sunset walk and earn your sleep, right? Because obviously you can't fall asleep if you're not really tired. The fifth thing that you should do, it's a little bonus tips that I do. I do mouth tape, right? It covers my mouth, so it makes sure that I don't mouth breathe. When you're mouth breathing in your sleep, it's not the best sleep. If you're breathing through your nostrils, you have a way better sleep. Sleeping mask, my girlfriend, she likes to freaking have the lights on and stuff. So I just put on a sleeping mask, so it fully blacks out my room. Let's say usually you sleep with your lights off and stuff. Just make sure there's no lights all around. Make your room black out, and maybe you don't need a sleeping mask. And last but not least, I actually started using this like recently. Nasal strips. I got them from TikTok Shop. It's like these things that open up your nostrils, right? It helps you, breathe through your nose way better. It also helps not only with your sleep, but if you want to use it when you're training, working out, try it out too. It helps out a lot, right? So that was it, guys. Recovery training, nutrition. I have more in-depth videos of nutrition and training somewhere in my account, my YouTube channel. Subscribe, check it out and stuff. But if you're out of shape just like this guy right here, skinny fat physique, and you want that nice toned physique that everybody wants, that aesthetic physique, book a call with me down below. I'll help you lose 20 plus pounds in 90 days or less while building muscle, right? Looking forward to speak with you guys. You guys have a good one. Peace.